Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Leanna if you're new, and I'm cold all the fucking time, especially in winter, where I just want to curl up into a ball and just not move because it's that cold. So I was searching for a solution to my problem. And you know what I found? I don't know about you, but I refuse to pay $40 for a glorified blanket. So I'm gonna be making one.
So a while ago, I found these gorgeous velvet throws at the 99-cent store, and they were not 99 cents, they were $6.99, so I feel extremely scammed. However, it was still a great deal, so I got them. And I figured that 2 of them would be sufficient to make this wearable blanket. So here is the plan. There's going to be 2 sleeves, 1 hood, a body, and a pocket. Now the plan is to have this wearable blanket be ankle length, so that when I'm sitting on the sofa and watching TV, I can tuck my feet in and not be cold. So I'm gonna start with the body. The plan is to cut out a front and a back, and then I'm gonna attach it on either side up to the armpit area. The reason for this is so I can attach the sleeves, and then sew the rest of the top.
Okay, so I've laid out the blanket like so, and I am just going to use my body to measure how much I need, I guess. And so I cut into this beautiful throw, but I reminded myself that the reason I bought this was to make it into a big, huge sweater.
And so I cut into this beautiful throw and reminded myself the reason I bought this was to make this into a big, huge sweater. So I was not overly sentimental. After I cut out a rectangle from the first blanket, I laid it on top of the second blanket and cut out a similarly sized rectangle. And by similarly, I mean that they were not very similar because I did not measure, because I was too lazy to. So definitely don't copy me, definitely measure.
Because I am essentially making a potato sack, it doesn't need to be measured.
Now we have our body. And as planned, I sewed it on either side from the bottom up to the armpit area. And you also may notice that I'm using yellow thread because I really don't care about how this looks. I really just care about having a wearable blanket. But as it turns out, it doesn't matter what color thread you use because the blanket is really fluffy that it hides it anyway. Now it was time for the sleeves. I didn't want them to be overly tight so that it felt like my blood pressure was getting taken every time I was wearing the sweater, nor did I want them to be overly loose so that I felt like an ancient Chinese lady. I mean, of course, there's a time and place for everything, and maybe sometimes I want to be an ancient Chinese lady, but for the most part, not really because of the patriarchy. Also, if the emperor sees you and likes you, you have to have sex with him, and then afterwards, you can't have sex with anyone else, so that kind of sucks. And then you are subject to a lifetime of being a concubine, or if you're lucky enough, you can be the empress. But either way, you're probably going to be a scheming bitch to the other ladies in the harem just to feel something, anything, even though it's not their fault because you're all in the same situation because of some horny dude and it's going to be a loveless marriage, and while he can fuck whoever he wants, the only men around are castrated eunuchs, and if you're a lesbian or if you found some other dude to have an affair with, they're going to kill you, so yeah, it doesn't sound that great. Anyway, the idea was to get 2 squares of fabric and roll them into sleeves. Now, at this point, I was kind of growing concerned that I wouldn't have enough fabric for the pocket and the hood. However, I decided that if the sleeves and the body were the only parts that I could have, I would be okay with that. So this was what I ended up with. This was probably going to be the easiest part because essentially I was just making 2 tubes. And then I sewed them. By the way, everything I sew is going to be flipped inside out just so I can get that neat seam on the outside. Now it was time for the hood. I had no idea how to make a hood, so I don't know, what better place to start than a rectangle of fabric. I was just gonna fold down the corners and see what happened. I figured that that would make a hood-ish shape. At this point, I realized that there was enough fabric for the hood and the pocket, and I was just freaking out for no reason, as I do. Since there was enough fabric, I decided that I wanted the hood to be double layered, just for extra comfort. So I went according to the plan, except it was just 2 layers of fabric instead of 1.
Oh yeah, it's all starting to come together. So the body part is inside out right now, and so are the sleeves. And the plan is to just attach the pocket right here, attach the hood on top, but first things first, I am going to sew on the sleeves.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put the sleeves in the sleeve holes, and then we're going to attach the hood. Remember how we only sewed the sides of the body up to the armpit earlier? Well, now that the sleeves are attached, I'm going to sew the shoulder area up to the edges of the hood. And I'm going to round it a little bit just so that the shoulders aren't so square.
And I also purposely kept the edge of the blanket as the edge of the sleeve so that I wouldn't have to hem the sleeves. Super efficient!
I gotta say, sewing on the sleeves was probably the most difficult part of this entire project, partially because I had to sew from the inside, I had to sew in a circle, and also the fabric was super fluffy that I couldn't really see what I was doing. The first sleeve that I did was fine, but the second sleeve I had to redo like 3 times because one of the times I realized that I had sewn the armhole shut. But in the end, I did it, and I just wanted to show you guys these beautiful seams that I ended up with. They look great, and I am super proud of myself. And so I attached the hood and sewed up the shoulders with no problem. Last but not least was the pocket. Now, originally, I had planned to make a pocket like this. This is a pocket that you would usually see on a hoodie or something. But then I decided that there was a better option, and that was the kangaroo style pocket. I decided that I would like this better, and it would also hold more stuff without the danger of having things fall out from the sides. So there was nothing left to do except execute the idea. And I decided to make it double layered just like the hood, because I had a lot of fabric left. So yeah, it was essentially just a rectangle of fabric, yet again.
I don't feel like flipping everything inside out, so I am going to do something else, which is take the edge of this pocket and kind of like pinch the sides of the body part and then just kind of sew those together. And I already did that on this side. Ta-da!
And what can I say, this plan worked out perfectly and I didn't have to turn it inside out. This probably wouldn't work if the fabric was any thinner though.
Oh my god, finally done.
Indeed, I was done with my masterpiece, so the only thing left to do was to try it on. The first few seconds of trying on a new piece of clothing and trying to decide if I like it or not. At this point, I was thinking that I kind of looked like a wizard or a monk. One thing that was glaringly obvious to me was the gaping neck area, and so I started thinking of ways that I could close that up. The sleeves also ended up being extremely long, which, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'd rather have them be too long than too short. And this ended up being a good thing because I can cover my hands when they're cold, and trust me, they do get cold a lot. So I didn't mind the sleeves, and the only thing I really wanted to fix was the neck area because I didn't want my chest to be cold. And you'll also notice that there are little purple fluffies all over me. But worry not, because after 2 washes, this blanket was no longer shedding.
To fix the gaping neck problem, I've attached an elastic to either side of the gaping area, and I'm just going to simply take this and just fold it over, and then it'll just be like a scrunched up neck area instead of just like a gaping one.
Because the neckline was too large, I had to resort to elastic to solve all my problems, but I'm not complaining.
Much better. Here it is, you guys. I think I did actually a pretty decent job. I mean, the hood on top is like kind of weird, but please ignore that. See, I like made a little scrunchy neck so that it's like a little bit stretchy and it's not so gaping anymore. And the sleeves are very long, but if I want to keep my hands warm, you know, and then if I need to go like grab something, just shake it out. And this pocket is nice and big. It's a kangaroo pocket, and just put snacks, put your remote, put your iPad in it. I don't know. And yeah, and it goes all the way down to my ankles. So it's not like dragging on the floor, but it's like long enough to cover me. Now my blankets don't have to like slip off my body, so that's cool. I did it, you guys, and I didn't have to pay $40. I am just going to spend eternity in this now. So if you'll excuse me. So yeah, that is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed making it. It was so much fun, and now I get this comfy oversized sweater. So I'll see you next week. Bye!
I thought some of you would enjoy a cleanup time lapse of all the little purple crummies on the ground. And by some of you, I mean myself. I greatly enjoy seeing the carpet get clean. Okay, yeah, that's it. Bye.